Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Kala Chandri Radha Kala Chandri Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Hare Krishna. Good morning, devotees. I always think of His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj. He always says that, good morning, devotees, hello, devotees, and it's so sweet. It's nice to be here with you all today. And today we will be hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 11, verses 46 through 53, focusing on verse 50. Before we begin, I ask for your blessings that I may speak something pleasing to my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and to all of you devotees. Let us begin by chanting the invocation prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarvasvatim vyasyam tato jayamudirayet. Nashta prayesha bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. And now for the sweet, sweet nectar, we are back in Vrindavan with Krishna and the Gopas, and we're in the forest. So if we could start at text 46 and read all the way through 53, please.
One day, all the boys, including Krishna, after the animals drank water, the boys drank water there also.
Right by the reservoir, the boys.
Oh, we need to switching out the batteries. Should I read the next one? Okay, that text 48. That great-bodied demon was named Bakasura. He had assumed the body of a duck with a very sharp beak. Having come there, he immediately swallowed Krishna. Wait, Raz, wait. He's got the batteries here. So we'll be moving on now to... Okay, text 49.
When Balaram and the other boys saw that Krishna had been devoured by the gigantic duck, they became almost unconscious, like senses without life.
Krishna, who was the father of Lord Brahma, but who was acting as a son of cowherd man, became like fire, burning the root of the demon's throat, and the demon Bakasura immediately disgorged him. When the demon saw that Krishna, although having been swallowed, was unharmed, he immediately attacked Krishna again with a sharp beak.
When Krishna, the leader of the Vaishnavas, saw that the demon Bakasura, the friend of Kamsa, was endeavoring to attack him, with his arms he captured the demon by two halves of the beak, and in the presence of all the cowherd boys, Krishna very easily bifurcated him, as a child splits a blade of virana grass. By thus killing the demon, Krishna very much pleased the denizens of heaven.
At that time, the celestial denizens of the higher planetary system showered Malika Pushpa, flowers grown in Nandan Kanan, upon Krishna, the enemy of Bakasura. They also congratulated him by sounding celestial kettle drums and conch shells and by offering prayers. Seeing this, the cowherd boys were struck with wonder.
Just as the senses are pacified when consciousness and life return, so when Krishna was freed from this danger, all the boys, including Balaram, thought that their life had been restored. They embraced Krishna in good consciousness, and then they collected their own calves and returned to Vrajabhumi, where they declared the incident loudly.
Very cool. Thank you. We'll now return to our focus verse, which is text 50. So we'll open that up. Tam talumulam pradantam agnivad Gopala sunam pitaram jagadguru Chacharda sadyo turushakshatambakas Tunde nahantum punar abhyapadyata. Please chant. Tam talumulam pradahantam agnivan Gopala sunam pitaram jagadguru Chacharda sadyo turushakshatambakas Tunde nahantum punarabhyapadyata. Tam talumulam pradahantam agnivan Gopala shunam pitaram jagadguru Chacharda sadyo tirushakshatambakas Tunde nahantum punarabhyapadyata. Tam tadamulam pradahantam agnivan Gopala sunum pitaram jagadguru Chacharda sadyo tirushakshatambakas Tunde nahantum punarabhyapadyata. All right, let us proceed to these synonyms. So since we can see them all together, we can read them together. Tam, Krishna. Talu mulam, the root of the throat. Pradahantam, burning. Agnivat, like fire. Gopala sunam, Krishna, the son of a cowherd man. Pitaram, the father. Jagat Guru, of Lord Brahma. Chacharda, got out of his mouth. Sadya, immediately. Ati Rusa, with great anger. Akshatam, without being hurt. Baka, Bakasura. Tundena, with his sharp beak. Hantum, to kill. Puna, again. Abhyapadyata, endeavored. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Krishna, who was the father of Lord Brahma, but who was acting as the son of a cowherd man, became like fire, burning the root of the demon's throat, and the demon Bakasura immediately disgorged him. When the demon saw that Krishna, although having been swallowed, was unharmed, he immediately attacked Krishna again with his sharp beak. Purport. Although Krishna is always as soft as a lotus, within the throat of Bakasura, he created a burning sensation of being hotter than fire. Although Krishna's whole body is sweeter than sugar candy, Bakasura tasted bitterness and therefore immediately vomited Krishna up. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4.11, Ye yata mam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. When Krishna is accepted as an enemy, he becomes the most intolerable object for the non-devotee, who cannot tolerate Krishna within or without. Here this is shown by the example of Bakasura. We are so fortunate to be hearing Krishna's pastimes from the 10th canto. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva punarjamma naiti mameti sarjuna. One who understands the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth in this material world, but attains my eternal supreme abode. And elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells that in order to deliver the pious, annihilate the miscreants, and reestablish the principles of religion, he descends within this world again and again. But our acharyas explain that he could actually fulfill those three purposes through his divine representatives or through other means. I mean, he's God. He could snap his fingers and all could be taken care. So why then does he come once in a day of Brahma in his original divine form from the spiritual world? Any guesses? Yes, but he could have someone else protect his devotees. Yes. The acharyas explain the special reason that he comes himself is to attract the hearts of the conditioned souls, because he wants everyone to come back to him in Goloka. Although the souls within the material world have defied the will of the Lord since time immemorial, out of causeless love and mercy, Krishna appears, brings his eternal associates, and even manifests his eternal abode in this world so that we have the opportunity to know God. The acharyas explain that Krishna's leelas fall into different categories. One is Nitya Leela and another is Nayamitika Leela. Nitya Leela refers to the Lord's eternal pastimes, which are always taking place in the spiritual reality of Vraj. And these pastimes are not created at certain times. They are eternally existing, and they sometimes become manifest in this world when Krishna appears. Nayamitika Leela, on the other hand, refers to those pastimes that Krishna performs for a specific purpose at a specific time. And these include the demon-slaying pastimes that we have been hearing in this chapter and previous chapters. It is explained that for a sadhaka bhakta, Nayamitika Leela is especially relevant. In the stage of sadhana bhakti, one is still dealing with anartas, unwanted tendencies, impurities, ego. The Nayamitika pastimes correspond to this stage because they show Krishna removing obstacles. And as we hear these pastimes, we are meant to reflect, where is this obstacle in my own heart? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur taught that a sadhaka bhakta should not only hear these pastimes, but deeply contemplate them and discuss them with other devotees, so that their significance becomes transformative. So well done. We're all in the right place today at this time. To grow a tree, a seed must be planted. But in order for that tree to grow, just planting a seed is not enough. There must also be fertile soil and a proper watering process. In this analogy, the seed is the bhakti lata bij, which is planted by the spiritual master. The land must be fertile, which means one must cultivate proper behavior and character. And the watering process is hearing and chanting. However, there are many wrong behaviors and attitudes, anartas, that obstruct the growth of that bhakti lata bij. Each of the demons killed by Krishna in the Nayamitika Leelas represent a particular anarta within the heart. I will come back to this point in just a moment, But I want to acknowledge the point that Prabhupada makes in the purport. The Bhagavatam and so many bhajans and poems describe that Krishna's body is as soft as a blue lotus. And the Bhagavatam describes how the gopis would sometimes cry when thinking of Krishna in the forest because he wouldn't wear shoes. And Yashoda Mai could not tolerate the thought of pebbles touching Krishna's feet because they were so soft, softer than anything in this world. Simply by touching Krishna's feet, the color would change. And when the gopis would place Krishna's feet on the softest part of their bodies, they would think, oh, maybe I'm hurting them because I am so hard. This is how Krishna appears to those who approach him with love. But Krishna does not reveal himself in the same way to everyone. As we approach Krishna, he reveals himself accordingly. Because the devotees approach him with love, Krishna's body, his glance, his affection are as tender as a blue lotus. But because Bakasura approached him with enmity, Krishna's body felt as hard and as hot as a thunderbolt. The effulgence of Lord Krishna, which is so mesmerizing and gorgeous to devotees, was intolerable in the throat of Bakasura. It burned him so severely that he had no alternative but to spit him out. And in the purport, Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita 4.11, ye yata mam prapadyante, that according to how one approaches Krishna, Krishna reciprocates. Bakasura approached him with the intention of killing him, and therefore the personification of sweetness, the softest of all soft things in the world, appeared to Bakasura like a ball of fire. So maybe by now you are wondering what Anarta Bakasura represents. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur explains that Bakasura represents the Anarta of duplicity and cheating propensity. In the purport of the 8th canto, chapter 20, verse 19, Prabhupada explains that Arjavam, simplicity or freedom from duplicity, is a qualification of a Brahmin and a Vaishnav. A Vaishnav automatically acquires all the qualities of a Brahmin. Yasyati bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunais tatra samasate sura. A Vaishnav should possess the permanent qualities such as satya, shama, dhamma, titiksha, and arjava. There cannot be any duplicity in the character of a Vaishnav. Duplicity generally arises within one's consciousness when one is attached to a particular position or situation for the sake of enjoyment or control. An example is a politician. In the grossest sense of the word, a politician is someone who holds office, someone who occupies a position of ruling power. And there are two types of politicians. One who is in power and who will do anything to stay in power, and one who is not in power and will do anything to obtain it. In Kali Yuga, when someone is running for office, countless promises are made to various groups of people. But who truly believes those promises? I mean, it often becomes quite obvious that people are saying what must be said to secure position, power, prestige, and the benefits that accompany them. So in this way, duplicity becomes inevitable because there is an ulterior motive. The motive is not purely and exclusively to serve others. It's also, and sometimes predominantly, to serve one's own interests. Although they are representing themselves as being here to work for you. And to that degree that we desire to serve our own selfish interests, to that degree, we will be compelled by material nature to become duplicitous. In the 19th chapter of Madhya Lila, text verse 159, Lord Chaitanya explains that among the prominent weeds that grow alongside bhakti is kutinati, which refers to duplicity or diplomatic behavior in spiritual life. It means representing ourselves as something we are not. For example, a person may outwardly appear humble, but internally desire recognition or prestige. Someone may praise devotees in assembly of others, but criticize them behind their back. Or a devotee may perform service not simply to please Krishna or the spiritual master, but to gain influence, admiration, or validation from others. And this kind of duplicity creates inner conflict, and it disturbs the mind. To the degree we're actually selfish, to the degree we are actually selfless and humble, then naturally there will be no duplicity in our behavior. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, the first qualification of a devotee is svaralata, which means simplicity. Simplicity is a type of humility, to be straightforward, to be honest, to be without hidden motives or a personal agenda. The residents of Vrindavan were so simple. They were so innocent. We find so many examples of simplicity in Vraj Lila. At Yagyastali, the Brahmins were performing a nice yagya. And they were very proud of being good, staunch Brahmins. They knew so many mantras. They knew the intricate rituals so proficiently. They knew the tantras and the mudras. Krishna asked his simple gopas, tell those Brahmins that Krishna and Balaram are hungry. They have lots of food at the yagya. Ask them to give some to us. Krishna even told them, ask for the food in the name of Balaram, because he is a Kshatriya. Everyone knows that he's the son of Vasudeva and Rohini. If you say my name, I'm only a Vaishya, they might not give. He was trying to appeal to their ego and their sense of societal order. So the cowherd boys went to the Brahmins. Balaram and Krishna want food. The Brahmins were so immersed in performing the perfect, most intricate yagya in their own selfish interests that they ignored Krishna and his instructions. But when the boys then went to the wives of the Brahmins, what happened? Different outcome. Because the wives of the Brahmins were simple. They had no duplicity. They were not attached to position, control, power, recognition, or prestige. They simply wanted to serve Krishna. And they ran to Krishna to give him their lives, their hearts, not simply pots of food. They came to surrender everything to him without a second thought. And even though their husbands saw that the wives achieved the ultimate perfection of life by surrendering to Krishna, they would not go. They were afraid. What will people think? What will happen to our position? Still attached. the gopis. When Krishna stood under Vamsivat on Sharad Purnim and played the 5th note of his flute, they left everything, their children, their husbands, the cows, all their responsibilities in the middle of the night. They faced dangers in the forests, rejection by family, becoming homeless, losing all prestige as chaste women. They did not care for position. They did not care for anything except the highest truth. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. The greatest dharma is to surrender to Krishna. That is simplicity. No attachment to position, no attachment to facilities, no attachment to what people think of me. Attachment to serving Krishna. Attachment to one's true position, that of servant. Srila Prabhupada warned that in his own Guru Maharaj's mission, there was so much division and conflict because people wanted facilities more than service. They wanted a nicer room than that person. They wanted a title. They wanted a position. The essence of simplicity is the 3rd verse of Shikshastakam. Tanadapi sunichena taror api sahishnuna. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, to the degree that we are living by that verse, to that degree, we are actually Vaishnav. And to the degree we are not living by that, it does not matter what people think of us. We are not actually Vaishnav. Srila Prabhupada's greatness was not in strategy, manipulation, or political calculation. It was in his purity. He was straightforward in poverty, straightforward in danger, straightforward in failure and success. Whether in a grimy Bowery loft or in an English manor, his heart never changed. He was simple, innocent, free from duplicity, with no ulterior motives, no hidden agenda, just an honest well-wisher of every living being. Srila Prabhupada described in so many ways what it means to be simple. On one occasion, he said, we don't need anything. We have the association of devotees, we have Srimad Bhagavatam, we have the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, and Krishna will give us a little prasadam. What else do we need? We have everything. Our acharyas teach that we should learn to be content by recognizing what is truly precious in life. The association and service of Vaishnavas. The holy scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. The chanting of the holy name. A little prasadam and wonderful kirtan. If we are satisfied with these gifts, that is simplicity. Ultimately, the way to cultivate this simplicity and uproot duplicity is hearing and chanting. Because there is no difference between Krishna's name, his leelas, his form, and himself. And the perfection of life is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Shunvatam svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridantasto hyabadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. if we develop an attraction for hearing about Krishna, that is the perfection of life. When Krishna sees that we develop an attraction for hearing and chanting his glories, he's pleased. And he reciprocates. He cleanses us of the anartas, of envy, pride, lust, greed, and anger, and misconceptions. The Acharyas explain Krishna is like the sun, and Maya is like darkness. Krishna dissipates all darkness within. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada has given us so many wonderful books so that we can read them, study them, learn them, speak about them, discuss them, and share them. Those are some thoughts on today's verse. Hare Krishna. I left plenty of time for discussion, so would love to hear your reflections, corrections, and questions.
Hare Krishna, Manjari, Gopika,
Krishna.
thank you for taking us through this wonderful pastime of Bakasura. You made so many wonderful points. I think for me, it was like an eye-opener. You know how we say as devotees, anything bad that is happening is my fault, and anything good that is happening in my life is Guru and Krishna's grace. So I say it, but I don't fully accept it. And so, but I don't know, when you were reading this pastime, you know, the analogy is like Krishna's body is so soft, Krishna is so sweet, and Bakasura tried to gobble him, and his throat started burning, and he started, experiencing so much pain. And so somehow, when you were reading that, I was like, yeah, no wonder we're suffering, because we're trying to gobble Krishna's glory and trying to, however, it just that this
That's nice.
analogy was, such a clear example of why, as devotees, when we suffer, if we try to experience Krishna's beauty and his grace, then it is very sweet. And when we try to gobble it up, then it becomes searing pain in our throats. And just the other parallel of how the gopis, when they were, when Prabhupada Priya was giving us the other pastime, they were actually going through a lot of difficulty. In one day, they had to wrap up their entire village, pack up, and move and cross river, but they were so blissful and they were so united in their decision, and they were glowing like jewels, and they had Krishna and Balaram in their laps, and they were singing his glory. So on the physical and material level, they were doing a lot. And you could say that it's very difficult, but because they were doing it for Krishna, they were united and they were meditating on Krishna, the whole difficulty was a blissful picnic. And so that's like just the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And you were making the point of duplicity, and that which is something that is representing of ourselves, representing as something we're not. My question here is, we know we're not all these qualities that we're trying to cultivate. We're trying to be humble, we're trying to, so when we're trying to cultivate humility, and we're trying to act on those principles, how do we know we're not being duplicitous versus we're trying to cultivate? I mean, we know this is not in me, but this is where I need to go. This is how I need to be. How do we draw that line to say, okay, I'm not being duplicitous, but I'm trying to cultivate?
Yeah, it definitely takes sincerity and awareness. We all have anartas, but duplicity is about presenting myself one way to achieve an objective, really. So, yeah, most of it, I can speak for myself. I don't think I'm very humble, but I need to follow the rules and the regulations that will make me more humble. And that's what service is. When you're serving someone like Krishna or a senior Vaishnav or guru, it reminds you of your eternal position of servant. So the humility is built and cultivated. And we need to practice paying obeisances and glorifying other devotees so that we can remind ourselves of our actual position. And that's not duplicity to go, I'm not humble, but I'm going to say, speak in this way to acknowledge the seniority of someone else. That's not duplicity because you're doing it for the right reason. You know that you should. You know that it's pleasing to Krishna. You know that you actually are not the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that He is. But duplicity, again, it really comes from trying to hold on to something or obtain something by showing a different face. I hope that clarified something. But yeah, you have no personal agenda. Oh yes, Vrinda Sevika.
Okay. First of all, I really loved your interpretation or the realization, the first part that you said,
Yeah, that
right?
was
The
amazing.
bitterness and the sweetness, how we try to gobble and Krishna can make us realize. But for simplicity and wonderful class, Mataji, it was really good. I love the point about simplicity and duplicity. I think what I wanted to add was, since we are all full of faults, but like being aware of, yes, this is what I'm lacking, and trying to cultivate is such a nice endeavor that as devotees we must do. But when we realize that when there's one thing that we are trying to develop a quality, but when we fall short of it, that should not make us feel so angry, like, oh my God, like, you know, or feel so ashamed or embarrassed that, because we know that it's a long journey. So if we are reacting that, you know, I just lapsed out and, you know, I got angry at a devotee, then I know that I'm so far from being humble. And trying to just cultivate regularly with, like Mataji said, services and that mood. I've often heard devotees say, fake it till you make it. So some point, like, we have to pretend, but that pretentious, it's not pretentiousness, but it's more like, I want to be like this. I want to serve Srila Prabhupada. I want to do this. And how, you know, it starts with so many phases. Like, we first start dressing like devotees. Like, we'll start coming to temple. We have no quality, but we'll start wearing Vaishnav dresses. We'll start attending classes, and still there is so much dirt inside. But I'm not pretending, but because I want to be there, like you said, the agenda, like I want to achieve that goal. And of course, mercy. We have to understand that I can only make efforts to a certain point, but Krishna's mercy is really required. Yeah, but I really love that. It's a very introspective question.
Thank you for nice class. When Tulsi Saki Mataji was asking the question, I was thinking of this analogy. Like, suppose somebody wants to become a doctor. So they're getting trained to become a doctor. They're learning how to do the surgery. They're learning how to wear the coat and how to deal with the patients, how to diagnose. But they're not being duplicitous. Like, they're training to become a doctor, but they're not pretending that they're already a doctor. So I was just thinking of that example, like we as devotees, like we don't have all the qualifications of a devotee. Like we don't have, or somebody doesn't have all the qualifications of doctor, but they are in the training to become a doctor. So I think all the endeavors we are trying to make to become humble, to be sincere, and to get rid of envy, all these negative qualities. I think it's like being trained like a doctor. We are getting trained to become a devotee. So I think that doesn't equal to being duplicitous.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I would like to extend her analogy. I was thinking ISKCON is like a hospital, right? And we are all deceased. So the two conditions required here for someone, who is aspiring to get cured is number one, to accept that I am deceased, and number two, willingness to take the medicine, administer the medicine, right? Continue taking the medicine. So yes, as I always say, Vedas are scriptures, Vedic scriptures. They are never textual; they're contextual. So one aspect of the scriptures is to show the mirror to us, and then understand where am I. Okay, in Bhagavatam class, we are exposed. We know what is the tall order and where am I right now, and what is to be done. So in this case, very wonderful class, by the way. In this case, Bakasur represent the anartha of being duplicitous, right? So that is our disease. So when I'm thinking about it, I think, oh, I am Bakasur Das. I'm not Gokulan Das anymore. I've been serving Bakasur rather. And on the other side, we have the medicine, which you wonderfully explained about simplicity. We have to cultivate, right? So then I was trying to relate that to the root cause of our existence, the material creation, which is the false ego, right? The false ego is basically to take the position, usurp the position of the Supreme Lord, to be the enjoyer, to be the controller, to be the leader. And then I was thinking, Prabhupada said simple for simple. Especially in the women's body, there is so much facility to be simple. And male body, this is the male ego. You see, man is made in the image of God. So that holds so much good. The men body basically is trying, the living entity who is neither a male nor female, when accepts the male body, has the facility to be the enjoyer, right? Because that's what we desired. And female body is like Prakriti, right? So there is less ego. So more we are trying to develop that attitude as opposed to simplicity, when our ego is inflated, trying to be the controller, the leader, to be the enjoyer, basically we are going against the Supreme Lord's will. And opposite to that, when we are trying to align with the Supreme Lord's plan, to be simple, Trinadapi, exactly opposite to the false ego, to the basic cardinal principle why this material world was created, then we are progressing.
Thank you. I just remembered to your point about how do we be humble when we're not humble, and is that duplicitous? I just remembered something. Sometimes people will criticize themselves in order to get a compliment from someone, I look so, fat in this, and then no, what are you talking about? You're so thin. No, I'm not. Yes, you're so thin. Look at me, like compared to me, people will sometimes do that who are insecure. So I was thinking in that way, one could try to be humble, like say all these bad things about themselves just to hear someone go, no, you're a wonderful devotee. No. And I remember the short story, it's like a 2-sentence story, but there was a disciple who said to Srila Prabhupada, I think he made some mistake, and he said, oh, I am the most fallen. And Srila Prabhupada said, you're not the most of anything. Kripamaya Prabhu.
So I appreciate your honesty when you said, I'm not humble. And I really feel
you
that's...
You agree.
Well, I think you're speaking.
No, I know it's painful. It's painful to admit those things. It is, but it's true.
Well, I think you're speaking for all of us. That but I just wanted to respond to. I wanted to ask you a question, but I also wanted to.
Please,
respond
we have plenty of time.
Yes, thank you for providing that space. I think it's just time to discuss and turn. So I just really appreciated Tulsi Saki's gobbling up Krishna. And it's reminded me, like, when we try to gobble up Krishna, we get heartburn. Our heart starts burning with, material desires. And Vrindavan Vrindasevaki Prabhu, you mentioned how we shouldn't beat ourselves up. We recognize. And that just reminded me how when Srila Prabhupada came off the Jaladuta, he said, I have no knowledge, nor do I have any devotion, but I have strong faith in the Holy Name. So, if we can just, I reflect on my own life that I don't have any humility.
Yeah.
I don't have any, real, genuine devotion. But if I just can develop a little faith in Krishna's name, in the association of devotees, and then just to respond to, add on to what Gokulananda Prabhu was saying, about taking the medicine. We're all in the hospital taking the medicine. And I think, maybe you might be able to speak to this, that if we're taking the medicine, we're told to take the medicine of the doctor, but we're not taking the medicine, but we're claiming to take the medicine, and that's duplicity.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then the question I had for you is a little bit different topic, but you touched on this, about how as we approach Krishna, he rewards us accordingly. So Bakasura was approaching Krishna in a demoniac way, so Krishna was responding. So I'm just wondering, like, when there's so many different religious systems in this world today, and people are approaching Krishna in different ways, and he's reciprocating in different ways, and then we start to fight because Krishna's revealed to us in a certain way, and then we begin to start thinking that the way he's revealed himself to us. And maybe you could respond to that. How do we
reconcile those things, or what should we do?
Right, rectify the fact that Krishna has this quality of responding to how we approach him. So then, even within Vaishnava community, Krishna, right? Some devotees, may think that one service is superior to another service, or
So how to get rid of that mentality, or reconcile the two things, that this is the highest dharma?
Yeah, how can we live peacefully in this world, and like live in the house that Srila Prabhupada built, where the whole world can live peacefully, when Krishna is revealing himself in different ways according to the how the devotee is approaching Krishna.
I'm not sure I understand if the question is about ISKCON or if the question is about all the world religions. No, it's very interesting. I'm just not sure what I'm... Oh. I don't think I can speak to that. Does anybody else have any insight? I think the microphone, it's either off or... Oh.
Well, I guess to preface it, like my brother-in-law, he used to work for the Socialist Party in Canada. He was a mediator. And he said that of all the groups that he helped mediate, the hardest was with religious groups.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of turmoil in the world today between religions. And then when you spoke this verse where Krishna says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly, it seems like outside of ISKCON, within ISKCON, Krishna is reciprocating with the devotees. And as a result, we tend to... we can, not necessarily, but we can start thinking that the way Krishna is revealed is the way. And it's either the way Krishna is revealed to me or it's the highway.
I can speak about world religions, but I don't understand the ISKCON. I haven't been in ISKCON long enough, or it is just the fact that Krishna has not revealed himself to me because I'm not very sincere. So if anybody else has any insights, I don't really.
Well, maybe just focus on world religions.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but ISKCON, but outside, I'm hoping people are staying in their own lane. That's one of my favorite phrases. It's a Western phrase, stay in your own lane. Like when you're swimming, if you're trying to win the race, you do not have time to be lifting your head and looking at the other people and seeing how far ahead are they of you. Your head is down, you're in the water, you're counting your breaths, you're staying focused. And I did listen to a class by His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj the other day. It was really interesting. He was asked many years ago to speak on Bhagavad Gita for the modern man. And he, in one line, he just crushed not right away, he led up to it, but he kind of crushed the topic. He said, there is no modern Bhagavad Gita. Because Bhagavad Gita is eternal. It was relevant then, it was relevant 10 years ago, it is relevant now, it will always be relevant because it is not for a modern person or an ancient person, it is eternal Sanatan Dharma spoken by the Supreme Lord. However, other religious texts are presented through Krishna's representatives for a certain time and situation. And they will elevate one and purify one, although it is not the elevator to the top Sanatan Dharma. They are different than Bhagavad Gita. But the great souls and saints in our movement have also explained that those are valid if you follow them. And Christians, especially very sincere practitioners, followers of Jesus, they do go to a special planet and get to serve him as their guru. That's what I have on that part. Gokulananda Prabhu and Mother Tammy, I think, had something.
I'm not sure if this addresses what you're asking or not, but this is a quote by Haridas Thakur. He says, if anyone shows malice toward another religion, he actually shows malice to the Lord himself, who is worshipped by that religion. Since God is one, that person becomes envious of the same Supreme Lord that he himself is worshiping.
Yeah, that's really nice. Envious.
Let me make sure I understood your question properly. You spoke about ye thamam prapadyante, right? That verse, Krishna is saying to the degree one surrenders, to that degree Krishna reciprocates. Is that right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, let him speak into the microphone. He's going to rephrase the question in a different way, different style.
I'm living in New Vrindavan now for the past long time, and we have some devotees feel that self-sufficiency is what Prabhupada wants, and because they have the inclination. Then you have other devotees saying, well, but Prabhupada wants us to take care of pilgrims, so there's this. So, and there's other examples, right? Those are just two prominent examples. So there's this contention going on between, how Krishna is reciprocated with these different devotees based on their inclination to serve. So my question then is, how do we, live peacefully? Because what happens is it creates an environment where new people come in and they see this turmoil. And they think, well, what's going on here? I thought this is supposed to be a peaceful community.
Got anything, Gokulananda Prabhu?
Yeah. In my understanding, there may be apparently conflicts in the services. And when one is doing one's prescribed duty, right? If there is no proper understanding, one may think my service is more important and better than others, right? So, but as Krishna is emphasized in the 3rd chapter, prescribed duty means it comes from the scriptures, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and it is purifying. So if I have the right understanding that it is prescribed to me, and one man's food is another man's poison, so this is prescribed for me, this is meant for my purification, right? And the other devotee has been prescribed his particular or her particular service, which is going to purify him or her, right? So if that foundational understanding is there, then there should not be any scope for conflict to think that this is better. And this reminds me of one time Radhanath Swami, I heard this conversation. He was in Jagannath Puri and he said, this is the topmost holy place in entire creation. So then they moved on to another venue, like Mayapur, for example. I don't remember exactly. And he made the similar statement. He said, this is the topmost holy place in entire creation. So one devotee asked, Maharaj, just a couple of days back you mentioned that Jagannath Puri is the topmost, and now you're saying such and such place is the topmost. How do we understand this? So he gave a simple answer. He said, when we are in Jagannath Puri, this is the topmost place. And when we are in Mayapur, this is the topmost. So there is no conflict.
Thank you. Tulsi Saki.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The point I think you were trying to make with also this Bakasura example and bringing these two, the differences in our opinion in our services, and also Krishna is revealing himself as we are, he's reciprocating with us. So every one of us do feel that, okay, the way Krishna is revealing to me, be it service, be it religion, is how Krishna has revealed, and this is the topmost. And Gokulananda Prabhu said, okay, where we are is the topmost. And I guess the other side is, as long as we know it is, Krishna is the topmost, and it's not me and you who are now like taking precedence over what Krishna wants, then I think all services should function in harmony, because they are all meant to please Krishna. So the more each of those projects grow, the more blissful it is, and then devotees with different natures can plug in and not feel like, oh, there's a separation, but oh, I want to do this, and then I want to do this, and then I want to do this, because there's so many blissful services that I can participate in. So I guess for all of us, that's what you were trying, I feel, take away from me, is like, even if I have a different nature, as long as I know that Krishna is revealing to me based on my nature and my desire, but it is Krishna. And likewise for that person also, whatever they are doing, whatever project they're working on, it is topmost for them. But that is because they are inspired by Krishna. So as long as we work in harmony to please Krishna, then all these projects can grow, all the religions can take us back to Godhead.
Thank you.
I would like to add, with respect to outside ISKCON context, talking about this particular verse, ye yathamam prapadyante. So first and foremost condition in this verse is prapadyante, surrendering unto Krishna. So Krishna says the gist of Bhagavad Gita is sarva dharman parityajya. So rest, entire creation, all of the living entities who are not surrendered to Krishna, they are in one bucket. And they may be following this ism, that ism. Even within Sanatan scope, there is Matra Dharma, Pitra Dharma, duties. Religion basically means duties, not isms. So one has to understand. Krishna is talking about all sort of religions, the roles and duties that one is, playing. Matra Dharma, duties towards one's mother. Pitra Dharma, duties towards one's father. Duties towards one's nation, right. So on and so forth. So Sarva Dharman, all of these so-called religions, you give up and then surrender unto me. Then Krishna reveals the personal aspect. So
Mhm.
most of these isms, they don't even accept God as a person. So there is no question of Krishna reciprocating as a person.
Mm.
But Krishna in the form of Brahman and God and impersonal aspect, there will be some reciprocation in principle. But Krishna as a person, he won't reciprocate until one surrenders to him as a person. And then Bhagavatam is revealed. The pastimes of Bhagavatam are revealed.
Right.
Because when one surrenders, basically one surrenders to his representative, Guru. And one takes shelter of Guru in the proper lineage, then Bhagavatam is revealed. But the most confidential aspect of Radha and Krishna pastimes are still not revealed until one takes shelter of someone who comes in the lineage of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Right.
That is the most confidential PhD level. So we can see clearly from bird's eye view the progression. Those who are in one bucket and those who are in another bucket where there is surrender element. And then that opens the door for the the treasure house, right? That's my understanding. Till then, everybody is just, at the most, they are aspiring for liberation, salvation, and mukti, moksha, and whatever you may call it.
Thank you. Any final thoughts? Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for tolerating me. Please forgive me for my inadequacies and my many anartas. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki,